I'm going to give you my Bama player.
Okay.
That had all the potential in that run. Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
Click it or ticket.
Today on the podcast, we got a Navy veteran turned writer and aspiring comedian, Josh Hand. Josh, thanks for coming and hanging brain.
Thanks for having me, man. This is a lot of fun. I'm glad I finally made it
Yeah,
here
man,
to the podcast studio, and
it's
exciting.
You're the first guest in the new studio.
How do you like that? I'm excited about that.
Dude, it's cool.
I'm happy for you, man. We just got finished watching the Alabama-Auburn
Yeah,
basketball
I'm sure
game.
You're giddy over there.
I'm
It's,
giddy. War Eagle. It was a good win.
The date this was shot was March 7th. We just walked in from the other room watching Alabama play Auburn. Number 1 versus number 2. Never happened before in the SEC.
No, it happened in basketball before it did football, which is crazy to me.
Oh, yeah, that is weird. I didn't realize that's never happened.
No, I think the closest we ever came in football is 2013, the Kick 6 game. Y'all were number 1. Alabama was number 1.
Yeah.
And Auburn was number 4. And if it happened earlier than that, then maybe it did. I'm not sure. But I'm pretty positive that
I find that
that's
shocking.
the closest
Yeah, I mean,
we've come.
Good game. Well-played game. Auburn is, I think, you could say it all year, but it just solidified it today. Auburn is the best team in the nation until proved otherwise right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to get that win back against Florida, honestly. They're good, but they're a good team. Bama's a good team. It just looked like a matchup nightmare for them today.
Yeah. Auburn is not somebody Alabama wants to see in the NCAA tournament. I'll say that. I think with the way Alabama likes to play, Auburn's perimeter and three-point defense is so good that if you're not driving the ball and getting easy layups, it's going to be a long day against Auburn. You know?
Yeah, and we just got to stay healthy. You know, right now our kryptonite is in NCAA tournament. We've had 2 ugly exits from it the last few years, and the win today is great. But you know, I told you off air. You know, regular season titles I don't really give a shit about anymore.
Yeah.
SEC tournament titles, great. Don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like the one I want Auburn to win at this point.
Well,
is
it's
the
just
national championship.
nothing matters until the tournament. And it's always you can look to the last 1 to 2 weeks of the season who was hot. Like the year Auburn made their Final Four run, I'd even say you could say that for Bama last year. I don't think anybody would have predicted either one of them would have made the Final Four if you just went off based off their play for the whole year.
Yeah.
But then Auburn got hot at the right time. And it wasn't like Auburn had a fluky run where they just had an easy run through their Final Four run. They played some blue bloods. They played some really good teams. And
I remember being in shock. I remember Auburn playing Kansas.
Yeah.
And I was at home with the kids and my ex. But I remember just sitting there laughing when we were playing Kansas because I think we were up by like 25 points at half on Kansas. And at the time, it was unheard of. And it was just like, I was like, I can't believe this is happening. I kept trying to tell her, like, look at this. And she didn't care. But I was like, this is crazy.
You never expect your team to, when you haven't been there, to start like being able to compete. I remember when Bama played Florida in 2008. And we got off to that big lead in the SEC championship game and ended up losing that game.
Yeah, that's the Tebow game, man. He went off, dude. He went off, yeah. That was a tough one.
I think Tebow gets a bad rap, man. I think Tebow in today's NFL could have been a serviceable quarterback. Like if you put him in Philadelphia's offense, you put him in the Ravens offense, where it's very tight end heavy, power quarterback runs. You know, you have 2-3 good, really tight ends. I think Tebow could have done. I don't know.
He was ahead of his time.
Yes,
even still. And you know, Urban Meyer, that offense coming from Utah at the time was very new. It was a new way of kind of doing it, and he was a special cat. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think if he'd have been 10 years later, he has more of. He's probably playing NFL still.
Oh yeah,
because all they ever wanted to do, I remember, and this is going back a long ways now, but I just always remember them like shitting on the way he threw the ball.
Yeah.
His load was, everything about his load was super long and slow, but the guy just won. He was infectious.
Tell me he's not a white Jalen Hurts. I mean, nobody. I wouldn't say Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts.
He's got more power than Jalen did.
Yeah,
running the ball.
To me, Jalen. People, nobody's gonna say anything about Jalen's throwing motion.
Yeah,
Jalen actually throws a really nice ball, and he looks good in the pocket. The thing that's always been Jalen's problem, even since he played at Alabama, is like his processing speed. It's like he was just always a half second late making his reads and making the throws. Unlike the
best game I've ever seen him play in his life was the Super Bowl.
Twice.
He was he actually played pretty good the first one.
Yeah, because I think if they win that one, he wins Super Bowl MVP of that first Super Bowl.
Was he the MVP of this last one?
I don't even know. I would assume so because Saquon didn't go crazy. The two receivers.
I was too busy muting my TV from Kendrick like a boomer.
Well, Tom Brady's like awful to listen to on a telecast too.
That was my first. Like I don't like you talk about it. You watch a lot of NFL. You're a Dolphins fan.
Yeah.
I kind of claim the Bears. Not that I care that much either. I just on a whim. Like if I'm gonna have to bandwagon, I am a tried and true. Anybody knows me. I'm a diehard Auburn football fan. Obviously, love their basketball since Pearl's been there. Baseball, I enjoy their baseball team. But I'm Auburn.
Yeah. And
it's hard to get really excited and pissed off or really like jumping for joy. Like the only reason I didn't jump for joy earlier is because you're here, and I understand the pain that goes in with losing games like that too. Yeah. So I don't like rubbing it in too much on people because it hurts.
Yeah.
The Gravedigger a couple years ago in the Iron Bowl, that fucking hurt.
Yeah.
Not because I thought Auburn should win, was the better team, because we sucked ass.
But when you're right there at the end,
you're right there. It's like, okay, we've got this. There's no way they can win this game, and then they pull that off. It's a knife through your.
Well, I tell you, man, I've always loved Alabama basketball, but not to the point I loved Alabama football. I just liked following them, and this is coming from a guy who played college basketball. Basketball was my whole life. So I've never been super like where I was dejected or down. I remember Alabama. Like when they were really going through their stride, early 2010s, if Alabama lost a game, I wouldn't watch SportsCenter for a week. I would delete Twitter.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And now I've gotten out of that to where like the only thing I'm really like that with is now the Miami Dolphins. I don't know. It's just
I envy you for that because I want to be like that with a team.
Yeah,
Well, the Braves. Okay, if we're talking pro sports, I'm a huge Braves baseball fan. And every year if they get put out of the postseason or whatever the case may be, it hurts, and I can't look at Facebook the rest of the night. I can't look at social media because it's going to be about that.
Yeah.
Had Auburn lost tonight, like when I get home later, I'm
gonna
be giddy. I'm gonna
be
reading all the tweets. I'm gonna be going to the YouTube people talking, and my whole night's gonna be made of just watching videos of people recapping the game and being excited. Other Auburn fans.
Yeah.
But after the Iron Bowl this year, I really thought because Auburn knocked off A&M. They're late in that season right before the Iron Bowl, and I was like, okay, we got a fucking shot. And then it's just like, oh no, wait, we're Auburn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, this is the team we know all season. It wasn't that team we watched last week, and we got our ass beat. And I was like, you pull up fucking Facebook, and the first thing you see is like Jalen Light.
Milroe, yeah.
He's smiling. He's doing good. All the fans are happy. And I'm like, fuck y'all. Auburn sucked. You didn't beat anybody good. Like, quit getting excited about it. But nah.
Well, let me ask you this then. Yeah. Auburn can go to the national championship this year and win a national championship in basketball, or you're guaranteed an Auburn national championship in football next year. You have to choose one. Which way are you going?
That's tough.
Because then, if you get the basketball national championship, you have one before Bama. You'll always be able to hold that because you already hold the Final Four appearance before Bama over Bama. That's a big bragging.
Yeah, I was the first one last year when Bama fans celebrated getting to the Final Four. I was like, oh, really? Been there, done that.
We've already done that. Yeah.
Losers. Taking so long getting there. No, but honestly, if you'd asked me that question 10 years ago, in a heartbeat, I'm saying football, right?
Yeah.
And maybe this is more because of where we're at shooting this podcast. It just we're on the precipice of whatever the season may hold here moving forward. Maybe because of Bruce Pearl, he deserves it. I feel like to get there.
Yeah,
and the program deserves it. What he's built the last, I guess he's been on there almost 10 years now.
Yeah,
I'd say basketball.
I can see
because as sweet as it would be to win the football, I don't have the same passion for football that I did for college football. I should say it's changed a lot. NIL, and I'm fine with people getting paid. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't really have nothing to do with that part of it. It's the transfer portal I hate.
Yeah,
where people just leave and go, and it's just like and then we've talked about off air. What I enjoy about college basketball is that you see guys that have been at Alabama for a couple years now, have been at Auburn for a couple years now, what you used to see in football. And you don't see it as much anymore because people are coming and going and all this kind of stuff. But,
No,
I'm sure I'll get eaten alive by people who would say, no, I'd much rather have that football national championship. But I don't know, like basketball's making a come up in the States. So it would be great to get that.
Yeah,
sure.
and the thing about college football is it's kind of just become a worse version of the NFL.
Yeah.
Just from the expansion of the teams, you pretty much got 4 conferences. You have this big playoff now, who the playoff system's much worse than how they do it in the NFL.
It was boring, wasn't it? It was
so
boring playoff. Yeah.
Go back to when they expanded to 4 teams. The only good games were the national championships.
Generally,
the semifinals were always blowouts.
Generally, yeah.
That's all you were going to have when you expanded this thing is more blowouts.
Yeah, what's the greatest game of the playoffs? The 14 playoff? Could you even
one greatest semifinal game?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
In any game, I guess maybe that Georgia Ohio State game where they won at midnight. You know, it's famous that Georgia kicked the field goal and won at midnight, or Ohio State missed the field goal.
Probably, if you're not just counting
if
you're not just counting semifinal games, the national championship between Alabama and Georgia, that
was a good
with
one.
the walk off with Tua.
Dandy. Yeah.
That's probably the most exciting finish. Now, that game wasn't super entertaining because Jalen played awful in the first half. Yeah. And then Tua came in, and obviously the second half it was much better.
Georgia hadn't game planned in any way, shape, or form for him, you could tell.
Oh, no. And he
was a knife through butter.
Two totally different styles of offense. And that's why, man, as being a Dolphins fan, with Tua's injury history, there was a point this season where Bryce Young was playing terrible for Carolina, and he just didn't have confidence. He wasn't in rhythm, and they benched him, and they talked about trading him. I was pounding the table for the Dolphins to trade for Bryce Young.
Pick him up.
Because he is Tua. He's right-handed Tua.
Yeah.
He's timing. He's accuracy. He doesn't have the biggest arm. He's smaller in the pocket. I think Bryce Young would have been great in the Miami Dolphins offense. And
not everybody's going to be Jaden Daniels.
No.
Where they're just, or even Lamar, like where they just hit the ground running and it's like they were meant to do this. Some guys it's going to take time, and I think Bryce Young's had a good finish for sure for the season.
Oh, yeah.
He was definitely it's like it finally clicked for him a little bit. And he's in, let's be honest, because Cam, my beloved Cam, was in that franchise. Well, I'll say beloved. Let me take that back.
My beloved Cam.
I used to like him a whole lot. Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
And that hurts to say because he's an Auburn legend now. And he gave me the greatest gift I could ever be given. You know, my late father and me got to enjoy that national championship. And the only time in my lifetime they've won one.
Yeah.
Nearly pulled one off 2 years later. Should have fucking won it. But he got sent to that really kind of crappy Panthers. Just let's be honest, it's an expansion team. I know they're not really expansion anymore. It's been so long, but I still, because we're old, we look at them as an expansion team. Then when the Jaguars, I still look at it as like these are new teams, but they've been around for fucking 30 years now.
The thing is like if you're a free agent, Charlotte is not a bad city to live in, especially if you don't want to live in a big city like New York or Miami or LA.
Yeah.
And they play in a division that's very winnable year in and year out. What's that division? It's Carolina, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Atlanta.
Yeah.
A bunch of just kind of mediocrity. Sometimes people will spike up and have a really good year, but there's no reason the Panthers can't make a run. And they really invested in the offensive line this year. They invested in some young rookie receivers.
Yeah.
Chuba Hubbard, I think is the running back, had a great year. So it's like, yeah, if Bryce takes that next step and they go add a playmaker, I mean, there's going to be great receivers on the market this year. Cooper Kupp's up for a trade. I think Tyreek Hill could get traded from Miami. And to be honest, I want Tyreek Hill to be traded.
Yeah.
He's just not the right culture. He
seems like a very me type of dude, I feel like.
I don't think it sends a good message when he checks himself out of the last game of the year in the fourth quarter and says he's not going back in when the game was in reach of winning. And it was technically we needed something else to happen, but if we won that game, we had a chance to go to the playoffs.
You kept your chances alive, yeah.
And I don't think you can ever forgive that. I think you can move on. I think you can replace what Tyreek Hill has done with Jalen Waddle, and I think you can go trade for a Cooper Kupp and get a bigger physical receiver. Well, you don't need a bunch of 5'7", sub 4'4", 40 guys out there.
Yeah.
You need a A.J. Brown. You need a Cooper Kupp. You need somebody who's like got a little physicality.
I love a big receiver.
I do too,
Like
man.
a big physical receiver is always great. I feel like Bama so long had those type of dudes.
Yeah.
And then you had your guys that just never, like going back to Bama, like in Saban years especially, you had your guys like Devontae and Waddle, like you said earlier. Oh, God, I can't remember his name now. Ruggs, but even going back further than that, he had Amari, but there was like this one guy, I can't remember his name now, it's going to kill me. But Well, they just don't seem to ever drop a pass. Like they're just sure-handed. They'll make some circus catch on a third down that just you're like, oh my god, we had them. Like, and here we just gave up this play. There's some good guy that played with AJ. I can't remember, and he's just driving me crazy.
AJ McCarron. Let's see. Kevin Norwood.
That's it.
Yeah,
Kevin Norwood. He always just made a catch.
And he never played in the league.
Yeah, and he was never like this huge breakout guy, but when they threw him the ball, he seemed to always freaking catch the dang thing.
Well, Norwood had that really good game in the national championship where he was just tearing Tyrann Mathieu apart. And it was just all these crazy third down sideline catches over the top of Tyrann Mathieu. Like
he had like hands of glue, like Chris Carter.
And I think he got drafted or signed as a free agent in the NFL, but never panned out because I think maybe he played.
That's crazy.
I don't know where he played. I don't want to say something wrong, but
like you said with Tyreek Hill, that lies in the problem for me as a fan. That turns me off so much to the NFL.
Yeah.
And really any sport.
Yeah.
Basketball, I used to really enjoy watching the NBA playoffs, like when I was younger. And and it's kind of silly because like when I was younger, when the NBA playoffs started, because they start with fucking like April.
Yeah.
It's something crazy, or at least they used to. I don't know what they do now, but it always signified to me as a kid in school, like, oh, fuck, school's almost coming out. We're almost out of fucking school, the NBA playoffs. Because they always did the finals, always started the week of my birthday, first week of June. So that's why it's always been hard to like really get behind a team in the NFL. Or it's because you get those types of players that just turn me off to the sport. And it's just like, golly, you guys are playing us, you got people out here digging ditches. You got, people all over the world serving their country. Everybody's working a shit job. Everybody seems to be working a dead-end job. And we're all just getting by. But you got people that are, setting the world on fire or, getting to ride around in every Lambo ever made because they can catch a ball.
Yeah.
And it's like they probably couldn't even recite the first line, the preamble to the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
But they're more money than everybody else that's working their butt off.
I'll say this. In the NFL, it's not even as crazy. Like, the money is not even near as crazy as what they make in the NBA. Like Derrick Henry's making like
baseball too.
Eighth man money off the bench in the NBA. The two best running backs in the league are making like bench.
And he's a running back, which is like notorious shelf life of not being that great.
Yeah.
You would say that Henry would be on like kind of the twilight years in as far as running backs go.
You would think.
He's a beast. I'll give you that.
That's another to be a Bama guy, obviously, but that's another guy I pounded my fist for in the offseason was Derrick Henry because we needed that big, powerful back. What's the best way to Miami's biggest one of their biggest criticisms? Can't play in cold weather. Well, how do you? What better to have than a
Hawaiian quarterback? Of course, he can't play in hot weather.
Well, you know who can
cold weather.
You know who can play in cold weather? Derrick Henry. When you turn around and hand it off to him 25 times.
Did you see that recently where Saban was like had to teach him like football?
Oh yeah,
because he was so used to just being this huge guy, but growing up through high school that they just handed the ball to him and said run, and nobody could stop him. So he didn't have to learn pass protection. He didn't have to learn a lot of the stuff he would have to learn at the next level.
And listen, I get it on Saban's part.
That was cool.
I don't question the GOAT a whole lot, but Henry's one of those guys who came in and they wouldn't play him as a freshman or even a sophomore because he couldn't pick up blitzes and he couldn't pass protect.
He had to learn it though.
But dude, to me, that's the reason we lost so many games. Like,
well, what was the other guy that was? He wasn't the size of Derrick Henry, but
Scarborough.
That was a real wasted guy. I felt like when I remember, I think Auburn was trying real hard to get him at the time. Maybe
he was a beast, man, and he went. He actually had a little decent NFL career. Nothing crazy, but like he got on with the Lions and have really good games. That's weird. I'll give you an obscure Alabama wide receiver who had like a decent run in the NFL and then just disappeared. Was Robert Foster. He hurt his shoulder at Bama, kind of got, to where I think his big year was supposed to be the year Jake Coker was quarterback, and he got hurt. Mm-hmm. He gets signed with a free agent with the Buffalo Bills, and then it goes on like a 4 or 5 game stretch where he's like getting 100, 125 yards a game, and everybody's picking him up in fantasy football and all this crazy stuff, and then it's like the next year he was just gone, like not even on the roster.
I'm going to give you my Bama player
that
had all the potential in the world. Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
Click it or ticket.
Let's call it now. Henry Ruggs is eligible for parole, I think, next year.
Is he really already?
He's been in for a while.
Not that long for what he did.
Well, I mean, it's still manslaughter. That's the normal. You know, it wasn't murder.
Well,
Yeah, it was vehicular manslaughter with, I guess, DUI. But
so he'll probably be in shape enough still to come back to the league.
He'll be 20,
if they'll touch him.
He'll be 26 years old. What's worse? Okay, I know what's worse morally. A human life dying is always worse. Yeah. But if Vic can come back from literally murdering dogs and he did his time, can Henry Ruggs come back from something that was very
Depends
horrific.
on how bad people need a receiver.
Well, they need them.
Well, that's the thing, too, with like baseball. I'm a baseball guy. Trevor Bauer, phenomenal pitcher. Got accused of essentially rape to a certain degree, or not necessarily rape. He was fucking a girl and she liked it rough and he took it too far type of deal. Or she claimed he did. It turned out that wasn't the case. It was all a big ruse.
Yeah.
He's still nobody will still touch this guy. And it's like, dude, I'm a Braves fan. It's like, we need pitching.
Yeah.
You could probably get him out of steal because he just wants to be in the league. Nobody will touch him.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. Now, I think he's got blackballed by the front office MLB because he had a popular YouTube channel, a vlog, and he consistently used it to shit on the MLB front office and the president of the MLB.
That reminds me of Reuben Foster. Reuben Foster was my favorite linebacker to come out of Alabama.
Yeah.
And he went to the 49ers, had a great rookie season, and got that girl falsely accused him of a bunch of like domestic violence and stuff like that. And then he was kind of injury riddled, but he went to the USFL and it like he was playing against kids. Like he would get like 15 tackles a game and nobody would sign him.
So those videos, he's playing 30 against 37U. It's like he's playing 37U.
Dude, I want to play one 37U football game.
I don't.
I want to play one.
I would explode into dust from one hit.
When I played football growing up, I was like,
I'm still nursing an injury from 7th grade, by the way.
Really?
My left knee ACL tear. Still hurts me every time the weather changes.
Well, I've had 8 concussions, so going and playing 37U football.
So you don't even know where the fuck we're at.
I don't even know what's happening. I don't know how.
Hanging brain actually means
it's just my brain hanging on my skull.
His brain hanging
his concussion.
Skull.
Sorry. No, you're good. There is something that I wanted to bring up to you. This is one of my favorite stories you've ever told me. Tell the story about your experience with local newsman legend. Legend. I throw that out.
Is he loosely. A legend? Is that what he is now?
I'm throwing that out loosely. Was he Fox 6?
I believe, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So WBRC Fox 6 news anchor legend Rick Carley. Tell us about your experience with old Rick Carley.
Well, he's retired now. I believe he has resided to a life of telling everybody how much he loves Nick Saban on every chance he gets on Facebook, which is a really good. And I say that because that's a big point of emphasis,
of contention,
contention, whatever, of this kind of happening.
You're a huge Auburn fan. We know that.
I'm a huge Auburn fan.
For the sake of the
and
clip,
especially at that time.
Yeah.
This is 2011.
Yeah.
2011 was a wild year for me doing some weird stuff. That was fun. Had a lot of fun with a lot of fun people. But that story in particular, so let me just take you back a little bit. So I'm at home one day. I'm on my laptop. I'm looking at the Facebook, right? And a good friend of mine, I won't dox him. He's fishing that day. And if anyone knows me, I like to mess with my friends a little bit from time to time, troll them, so to speak. So he is posting pictures. He's catching these fish, and he's all serious. You can't smile when you hold a fish, apparently. Can't be like, oh, fuck, look at this fish, man. Everybody's got to be fucking badass. They got to fucking show the form, and that's what he was doing, mean mugging this fish. And I don't know why. I just started saying that's a fucking little fish, dude. Like, I'm starting to fuck with him,
Yeah.
Or whatever asshole. That's what he's telling me. Okay. So I go and I'm like, I'm going to go Google a picture of a fish. And I find this picture and it's a guy. He's got a hat on. He's just holding this big fish. It's a big fucking fish. So it starts with that. And I'm like, well, I caught this one. And I sent it to him. Yeah, right. Because we're in a group chat at the time, right? And I'm sending this and fucking with him. About the same time. Same day, same hour, same time frame. I'm doom scrolling on the Facebook, and Rick Carley, the one you're talking about, has a post. Hey, if send in pictures of your big catches. Like it's a fish. If anybody's out there being fishermen, send in a picture of your big catch. I guess it was slow news day or something. Send in a picture of your big catch. So I'm like, I just found this. Why not? And it's like, tell us where you caught it and what you caught it on. So I said, I caught it at Lake Eufaula. Well, I came up with that one. I'm not sure. It's down in South Alabama or somewhere that side of the state. And I said, I caught it on a spinnerbait. and it weighed 25 pounds. Because I thought that's so fucking ridiculous that he's not going to buy. All I looked for when I sent that picture was that he like, in my mind, he's just going to be like, you're right, and just keep it moving. That's as much satisfaction as I was hoping to get out of this picture. Well, I send that. Maybe about an hour later, I got an email back. Because you had to email him or something. It was sent to his email at the time. And I get an email back. Wow, Josh. I could probably go pull him up on my phone. It's probably still my old email. And he's like, wow, Josh, what a catch. Be sure to look at the 5 o'clock news. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So you going to put this on the news? And so, sure enough, I remember telling my dad what happened. And if anybody knew my dad, he wasn't really much of a hee ha ha. Well, I'm a big, you'll hear me laugh a lot, but my dad wasn't that type of dude. So he laughs. He thinks it's hilarious. Well, sure enough, I remember my mom, because I stayed with it was after I got in the military, I stayed with my folks. And my mom got home. My dad's like, this is what Josh did. And they're going to put it on the news. And but at the same time, I'm like, is he really going to put it on the news?
Yeah.
Sure as fucking fire, dude. Not only did he put it on the news, he has a graphic of the picture I've showed him with my name, where I've caught it, and at the same time all this is he's posted at 5. Well, he posted at 5 and he posted at 6 during their live newscast. Well, then it really starts getting wild. So about that time, he's reaching out to me because now it's all over the state. People are seeing this.
Yeah.
And the Alabama Conservation Board is calling him. They've reached out to him to say, holy shit, if that's true, that's not only a state record, which blasts the state record, by the way. I think the state record was only like confirmed like maybe 12 to 15. And I'm blasting it by like 10, 15 pounds.
Yeah.
So they're calling. He starts emailing me, oh my gosh. They're not only are they saying it's a state record, they're saying it's beating the world record of the last biggest largemouth, which was caught somewhere in Japan, or some version of a bass was caught in Japan. It would beat that record.
Yeah.
Which would hold $1 million bounty, which would have paid me $1 million if it was true. So that's going on. And I remember my mom, at first she thought it was funny. Now she's like, Josh, you got to tell him you're lying. I'm like, no. I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
Like, no, he'll figure it out eventually. But I just want to see how long this runs. So by this time, it's 9 o'clock. He's doing the 9 o'clock news. And he actually goes in more of a diatribe about it. He's talking, at the end of the newscast, or the end of the sportscast, he's, the biggest fish. And I will put a clip maybe for everybody watching of this telecast. But he's like, the big fish of the day is usually, 5 pounds at the Bassmasters, 6 pounds, 7 pounds. This thing's 25 pounds. Like, he's selling it huge, right? So... And again at 10. I mean, it's running everything. And in my Facebook, this is where I start getting kind of like, oh, shit. Because I'm getting Bassmaster, the association, is writing me messages in my email, in my Facebook. Ranger Boats. I've got, which was kind of, nowadays it'd be like a podcast, I guess. But it was like a fishing radio station up in Minnesota. Wanted me to come on the air the following morning and talk about it. Things really started spiraling. I had people wanting to be sponsor their shit. Like, it started really snowballing really bad. And so the next morning I wake up and I've got all these more of these emails and stuff. Well, then Rick writes me, hey, we want to send, do you still have the fish? Oh yeah, I got it. I've got the fish.
You got the fish.
Didn't have no fucking fish.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So my idea was, and I'll hold that part. So yeah, I've got the fish. Great. We want to send a news crew. When can we get a news crew out there? And I'm like, fuck. Like, I got to have more time to kind of see what you need to do here. So I was like, is there any way, you can come out tomorrow morning or something. I forget what exact time I told him to come. Yeah, that'd be fine. And so I was going to give him my neighbor's address and watch them pull up.
Oh my God.
And I wanted to video them pulling up, like looking for what's going on. Because at some point I know the jig's up, right?
Yeah.
So probably we're almost 24 hours into this, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's on Field and Stream's website. I mean, it is like a fucking firecracker. It is so crazy. And not 1 second does anybody have a shred of proof of any of this happening. They're just and here it tells you a little bit about our media. They're just going off of what I've told them. Like, that's solid enough lead for us. Run it.
Yeah.
Run it, Johnson. And so here we go to the end of this is all kind of whittling down. So the guy that's in the picture, so here's the origin of the picture that I found, and I just found it on Google search. It's some guy that lives in Texas who owned like a if you wanted to come catch trophy fish at their pond, and I've fished at places like this with buddies, but basically like you're gonna pay some money, they're gonna let you go out there and fish their lakes, and you're gonna be guaranteed to catch a fucking 100 fish in a weekend. Yeah, like you're gonna have a ball, and they're all gonna be nice sized fish. You're probably gonna catch your personal best and all that kind of shit, right? So they own something like that. So the fish in the picture is actually one they found dead because a storm had rolled through. And I guess it killed some fish in the lake, and this was one of them, and he's just holding it up. And so somehow it gets to him, and then all of a sudden I get an email. And I'm sitting there going, yeah. And I'm sitting there coming up with ways with buddies, like, okay, we could film it. Does anybody know how we could get a fake fish? Like, I'm trying to think of any way I can to keep this going. Because now I'm like, hey, maybe I get some money. Yeah. Like, that might be cool. I mean, I'm glad that didn't happen. I probably actually did get in trouble if they'd ever paid me out. Yeah. But so it turns into that. And then, so out of nowhere, I get a message from him going, you got me. He somehow has found out. Well, then here's where it's crazy. So all the fisherman community turns on me. And there's some mean people. Like, oh yeah, there was people saying they wanted to hold me against the wall and throw treble hooks at my nuts. Oh yeah, what? Like saying crazy shit. Like they were so mad. People get mad when they get duped. Oh yeah, even if they weren't directly involved, if they get hoaxed, they don't like that. You know, it really upsets people. And they wanted to hold me against the wall. You know, the fishing people were like, you know, you're a fucking asshole. How could you? You think I killed somebody? Yeah. It's like, dude, a
harmless prank.
Yeah, it was just craziness. And
because one guy didn't do any due diligence.
This guy, I don't think he's still alive. He may be. He was like a sports writer for the Birmingham News. He did their like hunting and fishing, their outdoor section. He wrote a piece on me and just buried me. Just buried me. That was awful. People like me. He compared, there was some other fishing hoax. He said I wasn't even, he tried to downplay what I did. You didn't even do the best one. There was one in 1943. It's like, sorry, man.
It's crazy, dude. I mean, have you ever seen the video of the guys who were putting weights in the fish and they weighed them?
Oh, yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah, and the people lose their minds.
Well, that I get a little.
No, that I get because they're actual
tournament. Yeah,
you just had a harmless prank where a guy literally did zero due diligence, and that's crazy.
Well, so Carly in the email is kind of asking, you know, he said, "Oh, you got me. I don't know why you did that," and I just said, "War Eagle, motherfucker." Back to him. It's all right back. War Eagle, motherfucker.
War Eagle, motherfucker.
But that was crazy, man, and it was like such a. It's so funny how things can spread like a wildfire so quickly, and it was wild. I remember like going to eat with a couple friends that when it was still kind of going on, and they were just like laughing, like you are a wild man. Yeah, I'm like, but what I'm doing don't feel that wild.
It wasn't that crazy.
It's but the fact that it got so crazy and then people are so worried about it and wondering like what's going on.
I think the more thing is like why anybody would think to do that. And I think it's just you having harmless fun. Like you said, you're not a big fan of the guy.
But it was never even that, honestly. That was just something I kind of threw on the back end afterwards. Like, fuck him. He's an Alabama
somebody
fan.
paid you $1 million.
I like Rick Carly just fine. I grew up watching him, so
he waxes poetic all the time on Facebook now.
He's
about everything.
He's the next. He wants to be the next Tom Rinaldi.
Yeah.
You know, he's got the deep, the heartwarming story on game day. It's like, dude, I want to watch football.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to.
Tom Rinaldi.
You know, hear about, you know, I hate these kids have these problems or these tragedies have happened to people, and I really do. I've had my own personal issues with that stuff and tragedies in life, but it's just like, hey, I'm just here to watch some pigs get that. I want to break free of that.
So that whole scheme was because it kind of fell in your lap. Opportunity was there.
Yeah.
You had another pretty infamous Facebook thing with Oklahoma State freshman Facebook group.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So this one was my personal favorite. And we're going back, you know, to my troll days. I'm a different man. I've changed. You know, they put me in prison and free. They lobotomed me. I'm normal now. I'm nice on Facebook. I just prayers up.
Prayers up.
Yeah. Here's pictures of the kids.
Yeah.
Happy to see you. Thanks. Oh, look at that kid. He's so cute.
Yeah.
Love seeing your family. That's me now on Facebook. But like in the early days, it was kind of wild. So let's go back to, hell, it was later that same year, I guess. Alabama plays LSU in the game of the century in the football. They lose. And then you're running into like the Latin. This is back BCS days too. So you only got
2011, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, 2011. So this is the BCS days. So Oklahoma State is that team that's kind of sitting there because Alabama lost. They got dropped maybe a spot or two. And Oklahoma State hadn't lost. Oklahoma State wasn't any fucking good.
No, yeah.
They were in the Big 12.
Yeah.
They would have got, LSU would have easily beat them. They didn't belong anyway. But I'm an Auburn fan.
Yeah.
So fuck Alabama.
Yeah.
But even still, I liked posing it as an Alabama fan. Like I remember before the game of the century, and this is going to sound terrible, and I'm sad I'm saying it because it was a tragedy, but I would just like find LSU boards of football fans, and I'd pose as an Alabama fan about the Tide rolling, and I'd just show footage of Katrina and say it's going to be way worse when the Tide rolls in.
Hangin Brain Podcast Productions does not condone this behavior.
Nor do I. I'm sorry. This is a long time ago. I'm just telling a story here.
I mean, that's, yeah.
But I was, having fun. I was young.
You were young.
I was younger.
You were only, what, 40 at the time?
Yeah. I'd actually already served your country when I did this.
Yeah.
But
this is the type of people we have in our U.S. military, by the way.
Well, hell, that's all there was to do was fuck with each other.
Fuck with each
we
other.
were on an aircraft
so
carrier.
You were active in the military during this?
No. I was out by then. Yeah, I was out. I'd been out for a year or so.
Okay.
And so anyway, here we're coming up on this game. And I don't know how it happened. I don't know if it was these algorithms posting stuff, but it was like there was a group, and it was like Oklahoma State incoming freshmen.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, let me see what's in here. And I just see it's mostly people wanting to know about, hey, is there, how do you get to the dining hall? Like, how do I check into this? Does anybody have any clue what I need to do for a parking pass? It's mostly shit like that, right? So I just had the idea to say, hey guys, and I started like actually giving advice to people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's over. And I'd go to Google and I'd find their campus.
Crazy.
And I would tell people like, yeah, go over to, Seibert Hall.
Yeah.
Make sure you talk to Wanda. She'll help you out. And they'd be like, thanks.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they went and doing what I asked them to do. And I for whatever reason, I don't know what you call me, a psychopath at the time. I don't know what you'd call somebody that does that to people. But yeah, I was getting kicks out of it. It was my own personal gratification. But so I'm doing that a little bit. And I just I don't know why it dawned on me one day. I was like, I should tell them I'm going to have a party. Because it's freshmen, right?
Yeah.
They all want a party. So I tell them, I find on Google that there's this apartment complex somewhere near campus. It's kind of like closely off campus, right? Hey, big, I wanted to really throw down for the school, everybody, I'm going to have a party this day. Immediate traction. This post blew up. Like, people were fired up. I start telling them I'm having, there's going to be 12 kegs. There's live music. We're going to have it all. Like, it's just going to be the party, to remember.
Yeah.
And people they're talking, they're interacting. What time? Do I need to bring anything?
Yeah.
No, just bring yourself in, in a good time. Bring some condoms. There's gonna be a lot of fucking going on. And I'm saying this wild shit. Like, this is gonna be, if you're a virgin, you won't be after January 7th or whatever the day was. You won't be one after that. So I'm doing that, and I'm getting women in there messaging me like, oh, what if I get too drunk? Can I stay with you? Of course you can. Of course. Like, yeah. Can't have anybody driving. And I'm like really hyping this thing up to be this big fucking to do, right? And then, of course, and I never back down. And people the night of are showing up to this apartment complex. I wonder how, I wish, that's the only thing I regret I had about that whole thing. I wish I could have seen them coming.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people actually coming in. And then, yeah, people are just on this page pissed. Like, hey, I thought there was fucking be a fucking party. And I just left the group. Never to go back, and it was over.
It's such a thankless
thing
job to do. Like you said, you didn't get to see them, you didn't get to interact with any of these people. It is hilarious though, because I mean, you imagine getting pumped. You're a freshman, you're ready for your big.
These people were pumped. They they had never really partied, and they were like about to be at the party of a lifetime. I may have said, There was a band. It's hard to remember now. I had like booked. It was like a well known. It wasn't so you can't go too well known.
Yeah.
Can't say fucking. You know.
Was it Lynam?
No,
it wasn't Lynam.
It wasn't them. I don't remember who I said. It was an act, but it was a low level act.
The big college, which I think David Lynam played with them a little bit, was the Velcro Pygmies. Anytime they came through town and in Livingston, it was always a big deal.
I remember them. I might have saw them, but
I just remember like being excited about it. If you asked me a song they sang or a cover or anything, I wouldn't be able to tell you. But I remember everybody would.
What's a pygmy?
I don't know.
Yeah, going back to all that kind of stuff, the troll days. Like I did a lot of that kind of stuff.
Well, we need Troll Josh back, and you need to.
You can't do it anymore. That's kind of the sad thing about the internet. It used to be, like especially social media. It was. And really before that, like I was doing it like on message boards, and I have some friends, I won't dox them, and they may still be out there practicing the art of troll, because it used to be an art form, and then it got really kind of mainstream where everybody was just like cussing you in the comments, and it's like, well, that's not trolling.
Well,
trolling's when you're making them believe something that's not real.
Can I present a challenge to you? And we'll have you back on the podcast in about a month, 2 months, for you to present your findings. We are challenging you. Hanging Brain is officially challenging you to infiltrate a homeowners association Facebook page.
I've already done that before. Yeah.
Oh, well, dude, those are the best.
I used to. So my mother passed like almost 5 years ago, right? So before I was in her HOA page, and I let some friends into it. I was still in there like a year or two after she passed. I realized like, why am I still in this page? And then it kind of became like, oh, wait, these people are the funnest to mess with on Facebook.
100%.
Like, they are. So, me and him, we would talk about, like, we have Black Widow infestations.
Yeah.
We're really upset about, like, we're scared. What should we do? It was always this scary stuff where, hey, somebody at such and such needs to cut their fucking grass. Like, this is getting, the yard's getting out of control. Because I could walk.
Yeah.
Like, for about 6 months before we sold my mother and daddy's house, they had like some fishing ponds and stuff in the thing. So I'd still go over there and check on the house. And when I'd go, I'd be like, well, I'm taking my fishing stuff and I'll go fish the pond just to make the trip worth it. Because it was kind of far away from where I was living. So I'd kind of try to make it worth the drive. And I remember I would just walk the neighborhood to the ponds and I would eyeball address, like if their yard didn't look great or they needed a little upkeep, I'd eyeball it. And then I would just come back onto the page, not under my name, under an alias. And I would say, or actually I'd snap a pic of it so I could post it and say, this is ridiculous. We pay enough in our dues. We shouldn't have yards looking like this. Please do something with your yard, which would always set it off. But you had like 75% of the group on your side.
Oh, yeah.
It makes me mad too. Every day I drive by that sucker, I'm pissed. It's like here, throw a little, throw a stick of dynamite and walk away and watch it just go crazy.
HOAs have probably been done before. I think a little bit of an uncharted territory, a new frontier where you could be a great troll is LinkedIn. Yeah. Just go on LinkedIn and start commenting on all these people motivational posts and cringy. Like, I can
see that, yeah.
That would be really good. I haven't seen people do that.
The funnest one, and it was something that I did with some friends of mine at the time, was we found a local, we just talked about wrestling earlier, a local wrestling promotion. And this local wrestling promotion actually had a website.
Oh, yeah.
And on their website, they had like these old school everybody remembers the message boards.
Yeah.
And message boards is kind of it's Wild West because you can make up just a name. You don't have to have any kind of identity at all when it comes to it. So we would go on there, and I know some friends, they'd get on there and be like, there's rumblings that there's steroids in the locker room. Like, we're saying crazy shit about like these guys are working. They're wrestling. They make $10 a night.
They're
maybe
just plumbers in the
They're
daytime.
just, one of them worked at like the local Hollister or American Eagle or something.
Yeah.
And
Steroids
we'd say we got steroids in the locker room, and then I'd posted once about like it's 9:00. Do you know where your children are? And it was just about these guys not being good for kids. Like we need a more family friendly product out of you. And it's 9:00. Do you know where your kids are? Like if they're watching this product, this is bad. Well, these people did not like that we were doing this. they hate us, but we were all secret identities, so they didn't know who we were. And they eventually either found out or they like really assumed, because we would show up to the wrestling matches too. Because we needed to have like, it was a full investigative experience of what we were doing, which was that, okay, we can comment on what's there. So they know that it's someone that's because there's only like fucking 30 people coming to these shows. So it's not
hard.
It's not hard to weed us down, especially when we're the only people in the crowd that are cheering the bad guys. And they're pissed. They don't want to be cheered for. And they're not happy about it. So one of the guys actually later on, he was our personal favorite. I won't drop his name, but he was like a golden package, I think is what we called him. Just tan as shit. He was a big guy though. He didn't have a terrible look, but he got in trouble for like being real drunk and like ran over some bicyclists and killed them.
Jesus Christ!
It's some crazy shit. But so that's kind of like that whole experience there kind of rolled into what we did with the tornado. When the tornado happened and everything. So I'll go into that a little bit with you. So Rowdy, this guy, the Rowdy Cowboy, he's a friend of mine's younger brother that I graduated high school with. He, one day, randomly, and I guess he had been doing it maybe on his own for a while, but I guess I just first noticed it one day randomly that he is on Facebook, and he's posting these videos to his YouTube, I think. And it's him talking like he's talking to Randy Orton. Like he's challenging him like, Randy Orton, I come out here every night. I work hard for these fans. I work hard for myself. And then I got to come out here and hear you running me down. I got to come out here and hear you running down the Rowdy Cowboy. Oh, hell no. I'll give you something, Randy Orton. You know, to that effect. He's talking shit. So I said to my friend, Justin, I said, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I acted like I was Randy Orton and I respond to him? That would be funny, blah, blah, blah. What would we need to do this? I probably need like a belt or something, like a championship belt. Well, let's just go to Walmart and see if they got one of those toy ones, you know. We'll just use that because that's funny too. We don't need a legit one. And as we go on the way there, I start going, no, what would be funnier is if at first it was like, I'll pretend to be him. And I'm doing an impression of him right back to him. And then it became, well, what if I'm Randy Orton? And then I dawned on me where I was, and I was like, no, I should just be this whole character, a different wrestling character, and made up one. So that's how Showtime Been Done was formed. And so we go and we shoot the initial one in like 2 takes. It just like was super quick, kind of just off the cuff. And you can clip that too if you want. But off the cuff, we do it. Well, still, it's literally just a personal thing. It's like, I want to send to him because he's off his kilter a little bit. God love him. But he was like, I just wanted to, it goes back to the college thing. Just the reaction.
You just wanted to,
I'm not there, but I like the imagination of what they're thinking when they get there. Or when they receive this.
They open their phone and they're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, what is this? I can't believe it. Like, what? What has he done? Well, we posted on Facebook when we do it. Don't really think much about it. Well, next thing we know, people are like, you know, in our circle, in our town area, really are loving this. They love it because they've all seen his, just quietly never responded about it. But as soon as they do it, they knew what the fuck we were talking about and messing with him about. So it just fucking snowballs. Next thing I know, a friend of mine at the time was, you know, hey, we should really do something. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want to fucking wrestle. I don't want to do any of this. And because at first it was going to be like at our local park, because I challenged him to the monkey bars, the steel cage match to the death. And I was like, well, we'll have a wrestling match on the tennis court. It's going to be something stupid. And then it turned into like, no, we should get a ring, like a real ring. I'm like, how do you get a ring? Oh, I know a guy. Like, okay. So next time I go, we got a ring. Then we got we need a big fucking tent over this ring. So that party cost a couple grand. Hell, I don't know. I didn't fund any of this, by the way, at the time. It was all just done because this person really wanted to see this through because he thought it was hilarious. So we do that, and then it turns into like a fucking 8 kegs are there. Huge party. Then real wrestlers come. Well, that same company that I was talking about earlier are mad. And they're telling the guys that come to work with us are going to work on our show that if they work our show, they can't work for them anymore. And it's like, we're not running a promotion. So we do it. We raised a lot of money, actually, for a guy I grew up with, went to high school with. He passed away in the tornado. His wife, him and his wife both did, actually. Well, he survived a couple months later, but he passed shortly after. But raised over $1,000 for them and put that into their fund that hopefully helped. And it was a really fun experience. It's crazy how. And that all three of those events happened the same year.
Yeah,
that's what's so funny, like how they all just kind of snowballed.
2011 was your troll year, man.
Yeah, it was my year. It was a lot of fun. So,
well, we're all out here in the internet world want the troll Josh to make a return at some point. So when we get back together, you're gonna have to give us a report on something. I really highly recommend the LinkedIn troll. I think that could be your whole new thing.
There may be something there. I don't know, like. Who you trolling though? Like, what are you doing,
dude? Just get posts. Find those people who are making motivational.
Do I make a fake
posts.
Company, fake business like Tim Dillon?
You could do that.
Do a fake business.
You could be like, yeah, you can make yourself like make it sound really something good. Vandalay Industries would be hilarious, but you're the CEO.
Well, they'd know that one right away.
People would know that one, and you're just commenting on people's like motivational posts, or like they're looking to hire somebody. You just go in and be like, this company's terrible. You got to worry about liability if like somebody came to sue you. Maybe talk to Matt Butts, attorney of law here in Gardendale, Alabama. Great representation, but no representation is greater than the quality of the representation presented by other lawyers.
We cannot, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I said that right.
I think that's all right.
But you could talk to Matt, see if it's legal, and I think it'd be really fun.
I mean, I think it's all legal. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're not like...
Well, I'm just saying if somebody's posting...
Do fake interviews. Like really ask them, like, what do you think? What makes you a good fit?
See, I wouldn't even go that way. I would see other people like posting, "Hey, we're looking for a sales associate for the state of Alabama," and you comment on there, "Don't do it. This company's terrible." If it's Mike Johnson,
well, you can get away with that. There ain't nothing wrong with doing that.
Maybe I don't know. People might, sue you for slander.
I like the fakeness though of it all. Like I like doing fake. Like this isn't real.
Yeah. Well,
they think it is real.
I wouldn't want to waste anybody's real time thinking they're interviewing.
We're all wasting our time anyway.
Well, I know that, but if you have somebody who really thinks they're interviewing for a good job and then you pull one out, that's a little cruel. But if you're fucking with companies, especially bigger companies,
and I'm not. If you'd have told me that gig and when I was 22, 23, I would have been. I wouldn't have cared that it was cruel. Yeah. And I had a lot of hate. Let's just get to the nitty gritty of this. Yeah. I was filled with a lot of hate in my heart.
Yeah,
I wasn't happy. So I took that out maybe in times I shouldn't have. I do sometimes feel bad about a lot of those things. Like, I shouldn't have probably done that. But at the same time, it was really harmful. All these people are doing fine.
Yeah.
It's not like I ruined their life or anything. But like, there's sometimes it's like, I guess that was kind of mean.
Yeah, but dude, you had fun. I like the Rick Carly thing, innocent fun. The Oklahoma State thing, innocent fun. It's no big deal. That's fun. That's what makes the internet
They used to make it great.
When you get sociopaths on there like really ruining people's lives because they need to fill a rush.
Prince of Saudi Arabia needs your donations or whatever they do.
These Bitcoin scams and stuff like that. Like, okay.
I'm scared of the Bitcoin. I don't know. Maybe I'm too old for it. I don't really get it.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Am I ever going to be able to use it for anything?
It is funny. You remember NFTs being big like 4 years ago?
Well, that's it's like I bought a baseball card that's holographic, but I can't actually touch it, hold it, do anything.
Why did people think that was going to take off? That was one of those that was kind of obvious.
Is it not a thing?
No. Everybody's like, that was not a scam, but a failed experience. I think some people used it scamishly, but
I just don't. When it comes to crypto, and I know people know a lot more about it and would fucking tell me in a heartbeat, but I don't. Is it ever going to be like? Can I use it? Like I know it won't be tangible necessarily because it'll probably be like like a debit card or something like that. But like. Yeah, is anybody ever going to accept it? I guess people would accept it already. I don't know.
They have. And I think the biggest thing right now is I think Trump really supports it and Elon really supports it, and that's who's at the top. So it might get a push.
Of course, Hitler.
Yeah. Elon Hitler.
Yeah, everybody hates Elon. Like, didn't they love him like 3 years ago when he was making EVs? And they were like, "Oh my God, he's saving the environment. Oh God, he likes Trump. Oh fuck that. Don't buy Twitter."
It's funny because when all the conservatives hated him, I was like, that Cybertruck actually looks pretty cool. And everybody's like, no, it's ugly as shit. And I'm like,
I'm not a fan of it.
Well, I get that, but it's like, I don't want just an electric vehicle. But if something's cool, I can say it's cool if I think it's cool. But like, they hated it for the fact that it looks
like the ones I see remind me of like RoboCop.
Somebody said a great point. It looks like the N64 version of like a Nissan Rogue.
That's true.
If like a Nissan Rogue was on the Nintendo 64.
It's like a PS1 one or something too.
Yeah.
Which it's all blocky.
I mean, I don't know. I'd like to at least drive one. I probably wouldn't want to have one.
There was this guy I knew, and he got real into, Elon Musk, and he hated Elon. I mean, I don't know if he hated him, but he definitely just got really obsessed with talking about him all the time, and he became a flat earther, this guy. Thinks the Earth's flat, and he could tell you why, and then you'd ask him, okay, tell me why, and he couldn't really tell you why ever. It just is. And he's like, okay. He just always got tripped out about Elon saying we'd get to Mars by some time frame. Yeah. And I'm sorry, who fucking cares? I don't care what's on Mars. I don't want to go to Mars. Don't really give a shit.
Don't care if we colonize it. We're going to be going.
Like, we can't even take care of this. Yeah. Like, what are we doing? You know?
Let's go fuck up Mars.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, Mars needs some freedom.
Yeah.
Let's go drill for oil in Mars. I don't know. It's just really crazy.
Yeah.
These people, like, hating. They go. It's like, I don't care if side of the aisle you're on. I don't really give a shit about any of it, to be honest. At this point, I'm very aware that my country doesn't give a fuck about me. I was in the military. We all know. Anybody that was in the military knows their country really don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, hell, you got nothing but vets just fighting
to
get benefits of any nature from the VA, because they do everything they can to, like, say, oh, that's not from the service. And, that's their MO. So, real quick, it doesn't matter.
There's a great sketch I won't say on here that we can do. And that may be a good way to wrap it, because we got like 4 minutes left on one of these cameras. But it's good, man. You leave them wanting more, leave you wanting more. We have stuff to talk about. But I got a great sketch idea. I'm gonna pitch you when we get off here.
Okay.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. First guest in the new podcast studio, and
follow me at actually don't.
Go to his Facebook and scroll back to 2011.
You won't be able to find it. That Facebook is dead. Buried. Yeah, ended it.
Go to Rick Carley's Facebook.
About 10 years ago, I shut that down. And not because for any reason other than I get sick of Facebook sometimes. And Facebook used to be fun. It used to be a lot of fun. And then it kind of, they just started policing it way too much. And then it got lame.
We got older.
Then all the boomers took it over. Now they're just on there telling you anytime you post something, like, oh.
I'll end it with this. I think one bright point of our civilization not being doomed is it seems like the younger generation, the 18s to 24s, even younger than that, do not care about social media. And there's a lot of parents who are our age now who say their kids get onto them like, can you get off your phone? You're always on your phone. And
when we were at the gas station today, I noticed when you were filling up, there was a couple in a car, two old people, and I think they had they hook it up and they get back in their car, I guess. But they're both just
that is all our generation has become.
Well, that was older people.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were boomers necessarily, but they were older than I.
Like, I would say 26 to 28 to 60 are just chronically on our phones. I don't think the younger generation is going to follow that. And I think that could be another shift in, like, what media is. And maybe we get retroactive back. But this is one thing. Is somebody said they wanted an invention kind of like the Apple Watch. It's a flip phone that pairs to your iPhone.
Yeah.
And it can have cellular, but it's the same number and everything, just like an Apple Watch would be. But it's a flip phone. You can leave your phone at home, go out in public, and all you have is a flip phone. All you can do is text and call. And you're off the apps, you're off the social media, you're off TikTok. But if you need that, like me, I would love to have a flip phone, but with trying to be a content creator and a comedian, you find yourself on it. But I don't know. Maybe there's
one day content creators will rule the world. They're almost there.
See, I think we're going to.
I guess they already are. Trump. Could you consider him a content creator?
I think 10 years more with the content creators, and I think the bubble will burst. Every bubble bursts, and that's okay.
How's that bubble burst, though?
Because I don't think people are going to care about social media. If these sites stop getting the traffic, like, we'll probably always be addicted to our phones. But like I said, that younger generation in 10, 15 years, I don't think they care who's telling you something on Facebook.
You just got to talk to them through Fortnite.
Yeah. It's just by then we hope we're famous comedians already and it don't matter. We've already said, because that's all I care about is the comedy. 20 years ago, you went to a comedy club, you did well, a talent scout saw you, and then gave you opportunity. And then you start traveling. Now it's like the point of entry is 10,000 followers before you can actually... And I get
you got to beat your head against a wall to come up with something funny for a sketch or something that's going to translate to a TikTok view.
And it can't even be one of those things where it's quantity.
I feel like, okay, here's something I got to say about TikTok. And I know you're on TikTok. Yeah. I've had one. I didn't really get on it. I don't have the app anymore. I got rid of it a while back. But I feel like if they shut it down or whatever they're doing, I don't know if it's back or if they're gonna do some stuff there. But anyway, they should make a rule for TikTok. You are not allowed to be on TikTok if you were born before 9/11. After 9/11, you can be on TikTok. Yeah, I feel like that's your age cutoff there. Like you're too old if you were born before 9/11.
I think TikTok, out of all of them,
a lot of people that's gonna hit in the gut. I'm sorry, but
I think TikTok out of all of them does the best on the algorithm. Because I don't see.
It's good for a content creator.
Yeah, I don't see anything other than the stuff I like, which is sports, comedy, and wrestling.
Yeah,
I don't see people doing TikTok dances or lip syncing.
Well, I notice like Facebook and Instagram shoves in your face stuff that they know you're not gonna like, stuff that's gonna piss you off. And it's a fact. If you put stuff on people's face that they don't like, they're more likely to interact with it.
Yeah. 100%.
And I get it constantly. I'm like, dude, I don't care about trans women playing, ice skating or whatever. It's not my bag, man. Like, why am I seeing this?
Of you're more likely to write a review if you had a bad experience. It's the same thing. People feed into negativity.
I know, and it's just made everybody so negative, so tribal.
Dude, we'll get comments on here that'll be like, "Oh, two guys decided to start a podcast."
Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, thank asshole.
Randy in your basement.
I had one guy on here arguing me on YouTube, telling me how he makes $100,000 a year and I ain't made anything doing comedy. I was like, dude, you want to compare W-2s? We can compare W-2s.
Well, either way, who gives a fuck what you do, man? Yeah. Like, go on. Like, you don't need to tell me.
This is our hobby.
If it's so great, then, why are you so angry that you're lashing out at me?
This is a hobby. Never said this is my career.
I know that because I used to lash out. So I understand where they're coming from. And I don't really lash out anymore because I'm not that guy anymore that's angry and inside for any reason. So,
well, man, again, had fun, and come back real soon.
Thanks, man.